Howdy folks, and welcome back to World of Tanks with the mighty Jingles, and today we have a replay featuring the newish French Tier 10 tank destroyer, the AMX-50 Fache B. And driving it for us today here on the swamp map we have Magnus 417. Now this is the machine that replaced the previous French Tier 10 tank destroyer, the AMX-50 Foch 155, which now only exists as a Tier 10 premium machine. And don't waste your time looking for it in the premium shop. The only way to have an AMX-50 Foch 155 these days was if you already owned it at the time the change was made and it was replaced with this thing, the Fache B. So what are the big differences between the Fache B and the Foch 155? Well, the Fache B has a more powerful engine, which is good, but it doesn't have a 155mm gun. Instead, this machine is armed with a 120mm autoloader. The ammunition that this tank destroyer fires has 257mm of penetration for AP and 325mm of penetration for APCR, and both shells have 400 alpha damage, which means that this has the second worst penetration and alpha damage with both regular and premium ammunition of any tier 10 tank destroyer that isn't firing high explosive squash head ammunition. However, it's got 6 shots in the drum, which is 2 more than any other 120mm autoloader in World of Tanks. Which means that if all 6 shots hit, penetrate and do damage, you're looking at a frankly terrifying 2,400 damage per reload. Of course, to pull off numbers like that you have to hit, penetrate and do damage, and it's got the second worst penetration and alpha damage of any tier 10 tank destroyer. But it's also more accurate and has higher shell velocity than the Foch 155 did. So providing you know where to aim, you can do serious amounts of damage in a very, very short space of time in the Fache B. It's also a lighter machine than the Foch 155, with the same 1000 horsepower engine, which means it has a better power to weight ratio, so you're more easily able to relocate after dumping that 6-shot ammunition load while you wait out the relatively short reload on the autoloader. Depending on equipment and consumables, you're looking at about a 35-second reload on this gun, which is not bad at all. You'll note that Magnus has not actually been spotted here, and yet he's attracting fire. It's not him, it's the genius and the T-26E5 behind him who's attracting all the enemy attention, and also temporarily blocking him so he couldn't get out of the line of fire. But, well, no harm done, and he still hasn't been spotted. Although you can bet there are some enemy guns pointing in this general direction, which is of course exactly why Magnus has pulled back from his earlier position just a little to ensure that, well, that object that fired the shot at the T-26E5 isn't going to accidentally hit him if the T-26 comes back and tries to pull the same shit twice. Plenty of targets up ahead, although all tantalisingly out of direct line of fire. And he's in a great spot here, providing the team can continue to spot these guys, because they're never going to see him firing. Well, that was kind of unlucky. 1 shot fired, nothing. And that's more like it. And again, no, nothing. Oh, you gotta be kidding. Come on. Tracked him. And again, but now he's out of ammunition, and is that guy going to get away? You really don't want to let a badger survive, particularly not when it's a 1-shot kill. And yep, Object 257 on the team has finished him off. Good stuff. So it wasn't a complete waste of time. And now of course he's sitting out his reload, which on this thing is only around about 35 seconds. Again, depending of course on consumables and equipment fitted. You can't actually fit this thing with a gun rammer because it's an autoloader, but you can fit vents and use the hot coffee consumable and get the reload down to just over 34 seconds. And when this gun is loaded, this is exactly the sort of thing that it can do. 3 shots left. Okay, 1 bounced. That one didn't. And neither did that one. 6 shots fired, 5 penetrated and did damage, and he's already at over 3,000 damage done on his second reload. But the time for kimping bush and doing the tank destroyer thing, shooting up targets spotted by the rest of your team, is now well and truly over. At least for the moment, because all of the tanks on his team that were spotting the targets that he was shooting at from the safety of his bush are now, well, just a little bit dead. So it's time to relocate And while the Foch 155 wasn't terrible when it came to relocating around the battlefield, the Fache B is just that little bit better because they both have a 1000 horsepower engine, and the Fache B is a lighter machine. Unfortunately, while this is a more accurate gun than the gun on the Foch 155, it's not quite accurate enough to be able to do anything other than immobilise that Object 705. Although we can definitely do some damage to this Waffenträger Panzer IV. There's one, two, final shot, not going to kill him, but no, didn't even hit him. No idea where that final shot went. So, very disappointing. 6 shots fired, only 2 actually did damage. He's up to 3,900 damage done, but he was at 3,100 damage done before he reloaded, so yeah. Gonna have to start doing better, especially since they're losing teammates at an exponential rate. The scores are 3-7. Are they going to get any worse? Oh, they've pulled one back. That's good. 6 degrees of gun depression on this thing, exactly the same as the Foch 155. Not great, but, well, good enough to finish that guy off. Scores are 5-7. Can he get the Lerva? There's no reason why he shouldn't be able to get the Lerva. Awesome. Scores are 7-8. He's going for the reload. They appear to have blunted the thrust around this side of the map. Knocked out enough enemy tanks quickly enough that it appears, if you look at the map, that the survivors of that push decided, screw this, we're going to head up the middle instead. And if that is the case, and Magnus definitely seems to think it is, that means he can counterattack down the same flank and work his way around behind them. And he's almost reloaded. But he's forgotten just one thing. Yeah. The Waffenträger. It's a real shame he couldn't have killed that guy. Because of course now he's spotted, and they all know he's coming. Well, those of them who were paying attention to the map now know that he's coming. Can he? Nope. Took a hit. Hoping, because this is not a particularly tall machine, hoping that he was going to be able to take advantage of the terrain and work his way around unspotted. Unfortunately, didn't get away with it, but he only took 1 hit. Of course, you don't have an awful lot of health in this thing, and 1 hit from a Waffenträger Panzer IV is a substantial amount of your health pool. So he's going to have to kill that guy before he can take advantage of this new flanking position. There he is. 1. It's going to take 2 more. 2. Oh, he missed. Take your time. 3. Right. Goes for the reload again. Wait, what's he doing? He had 3 shots left. He had to fight for this position. Why isn't he taking advantage of it? Well, he got spotted. And there's no concealment in the spot where the Waffenträger died. His artillery are already being dragged kicking and screaming outside, forced to their knees and having bullets pumped into the back of their heads, although one of them has managed to knock out a T-54 Mod 1. But very soon, this is going to be the last tank on the team. And you don't want to be in the same position you were last spotted with only 3 shots remaining. He's about to reload and he is spotted, but he's going to have to kill this IS-7 if he's going to want to escape into the bushes again. Splash damage from artillery there, shaved off another 280 health. And the IS-7 is probably only going to get 1 shot. There, he's immobilised him, he's not going anywhere. The IS-7 fires, aiming for the rangefinder, but didn't happen, and he's killed the IS-7. Right. Last tank left alive on his team, against a Mauschen, an Object 705, both of whom have 2 kills, and the GW Tiger. Now if you look at the last known enemy positions on the map, the Mauschen could be absolutely anywhere, but that Object 705 was last spotted over at the base, butchering the artillery. And nobody is trying to cap, which probably means that that Object 705 is heading this very direction right now, trying to get the last kill. And there he is, and there he goes. Yeah, how well did that one work out for you? Magnus, of course, keeps moving because artillery. Yeah, there it is. Didn't even hit him, but the splash damage shaved off even more of his rapidly dwindling health pool, and he immediately used his repair kit to get his tracks back up, because he doesn't know where the Mauschen is, and the Mauschen could, at that precise moment, have been aiming a shot right into him, and he didn't want to sit there immobilised in case that was the case. As it happens, that wasn't the case, but better safe than sorry. Now that artillery hit also knocked out his driver, and that's seriously bad news. Your mobility is one of your biggest advantages against enemies like this, so he's waiting out the replenishment of his first aid kit. There it is, driver back in action. And then he heads off to defend his base, which is kind of unfortunate because there's the Mauschen. And that was seriously lucky because this thing only has 80mm of side armour, and he just managed to get it turned around quickly enough so that his side was an auto bounce, and now with the APCR loaded he's farming damage against the Mauschen's lower glacis, and is kind of unlucky. Of the 6 shots he fired, I think only 4 actually penetrated and did damage, and the Mauschen did manage to get him with a second shot. But it's not the Mauschen he needs to worry about now, it's the artillery. But nothing from the GW Tiger, so that gives us some sort of idea about where the GW Tiger might be, or where it might not be. Now his final shot at the Mauschen blew his tracks off, but the Mauschen was last seen moving down the riverbed towards Magnus, so we know a couple of things from that. One, he's just used his repair kit. Two, he's going to be even slower than he normally would be because he's moving down the riverbed, which means Magnus now has the time to break contact with that Mauschen completely, keep him guessing, more importantly, keep the artillery guessing, while he goes looking for the artillery instead. He doesn't want to be fighting the Mauschen, even if, and he certainly could, get the first shot off against him from ambush. It's going to take him 2 shots to kill that Mauschen, and it only takes 2 seconds for each shot in this drum to cycle, but the Mauschen can kill him in 1 shot, and he only has to get lucky the once, and while he's killing the Mauschen, the artillery is guaranteed to be covering him, and could quite easily kill him too. So screw the Mauschen, he's going artillery hunting. Unfortunately, he only has a vague idea of where the artillery is likely to be based on the fact that he didn't shoot at him while he was engaging the Mauschen, and his guess was wrong, and he gets spotted. And say what you like about the GW Tiger, he's not stupid. He's not going to try to engage a Fache B. He's falling back, hoping that Magnus is going to be dumb enough to come after him, because that GW Tiger knows something that Magnus doesn't. He knows exactly where the Mauschen is. Magnus, of course, is also entirely capable of making a fairly educated guess as to where the Mauschen is likely to be, or where it's likely to be going. It's going to be going here. If not to get the kill himself, then to spot Magnus so the GW Tiger can get the kill. Either way, Magnus isn't hanging around to find out. But if that Mauschen is coming back to either kill him or spot him for artillery, there's a decent chance, because it's not the fastest machine on the battlefield, that Magnus might be able to spot him from here and get the 2 flanking shots into him that he's going to need to kill him. And even if he doesn't spot and kill the Mauschen from the flank, and he doesn't, he has at least managed to break contact once again, so he's keeping them guessing as to where he is. Of course that works both ways. Where the hell did the Mauschen go? It's possible that he was quick enough to be able to make it to the artillery's position before Magnus could get around the flank and spot him doing it. The other possibility, of course, is that he's completely ignored the artillery's plight and he's headed straight for Magnus's cap. And that is in fact exactly what he's done. Now that's a risky move on the Mauschen's part, because he's a 2-shot kill for Magnus, and he's now telling Magnus exactly where he is. And a Mauschen sitting in an open cap circle is not a particularly difficult target to spot. Of course, it's also going to take Magnus 2 shots to kill that Mauschen, and there are a very limited number of positions that have fields of fire covering that cap circle where he's going to be able to even get the first shot off undetected. And this is probably the most obvious of them. Yep, spotted him. The Mauschen obviously knows he's been spotted, and with the shot fired through the bushes, yeah, but he wasn't going to hang around. With the possibility that the Mauschen was going to kill him with 1 shot, there was no way he was going to hang around just waiting for him to take the shot. He ducked it, dodged it, managed to kill him by taking the snipe shot against his cupola, and managed to also avoid, oh careful, slowly does it, you really wouldn't want to wreck the tank. You wouldn't want to end up on an episode of The Good, the Bad and the Ugly now, Magnus. Easy does it. But he did it. He managed to reset the cap, kill the Mauschen, and avoided getting killed by the GW Tiger, who must be sweating bullets at this point. Of course, artillery's final shot gives Magnus some idea of where he's likely to be able to find him. And, well, it's not too hard to work out. At the point where the Mauschen started capping, the GW Tiger is going to have stopped and aimed up at the cap circle, which means he cannot possibly be too far from where he was last seen. He's got to be around here somewhere. Then again, he's a sneaky bugger. Magnus drove right past him earlier without seeing him because he was hiding up inside this castle somewhere. So is he going to try to pull the same stunt? Nah, not quite. It's going to take Magnus 2 shots even if he gets a high damage roll on the first one, and he does, but yep, it's not enough. The GW Tiger is turning the gun around. You know what, let's just play it nice and easy. Blow his tracks off, deny him any opportunity of getting the shot off, and then finish him with a 3rd shot. Unfortunately for Magnus, those dirty rotten spoil sports on the enemy team couldn't let one more of their tanks survive at the point where Magnus became the last tank standing on his team. So only the 7 kills, no Radley Walters medal, and no Kolobanov's medal for Magnus 417. He's just going to have to settle for an ace tanker, a high caliber, and a top gun with over 10,000 damage done. Equally unfortunately, because he did fire off just a little bit more than the average 5% gold ammunition that gets expended across all tiers, that result actually cost him nearly 40,000 credits, even after doing more than 10,000 damage and taking into account the fact that he also runs a premium account. But I suspect that he was so exhausted and his back was giving him so much trouble after such a massive carry that he probably didn't even notice. So that was Magnus 417 in the AMX-50 Fache B. Newish French Tier 10 tank destroyer. Hope you enjoyed it, and as always, take care, and I'll catch you next time.